Oh boy, here we go again. It's T8, and man, I was looking forward to pulling Laguna in his burst, and I did not have luck in that whatsoever. I got his LD after, like, I think it was 35k gems, and I was like, I can't do this right now. I can't spend the gems for the burst. So I was like, alright, I'll wait for free pulls, I'll come back and I'll just pity the thing. But, so, in response to that, I was like, oh, I gotta do Transcendence now. So, I was like, alright, fine. I'll clear out Tidus, because he does a lot of the same things, and I was gonna be able to do that. So, the thing here is that the orb ticks down every 2 turns, and in order to make it so that doesn't happen, it's 3 turns up if you inflict 1 debuff, which isn't too hard for a lot of characters. Tidus can sort of do that, but he can't do that fully on his own. So, in response to that, if you actually have one of his Refined Sphere or his Full Sphere, it actually, every time, as long as he's at 100% health, he will inflict a speed down debuff, which is really, really good, because, you know, speed down's really good if you want to delay things forever, or if you're like Tidus and you don't have forever, you just kind of, just make it happen. It'll be fine, they said. This is probably, I would say, my 10th or 11th attempt of trying to do this. This was not easy. The biggest problems I had is that Tidus starts falling off really, really late. Around like 30-40%, he starts falling off in damage really, really hard. In this case, this is probably I tried 3 or 4 different strategies of trying to get him to do enough damage, and I just found out Ferris was the best, because if Ferris' defense down was really good, and if for some reason they ever got a turn, I would make sure that after they're done attacking, they wouldn't have any Brave, because they have a lot, I mean a lot, of Brave hits. So Tidus Burst, I love Tidus' Burst. It's literally use your EX, go into Slice and Dice, and spam C65. I know so many people in the world just screaming at me right now, but I mean, until Tidus gets his FR, it's the best. Like, Slash Combo and Quick Hit don't really do that much, and then I realized in hindsight, if I did Slash Combo, it would have done 100% damage to one and 75% to the other, which would have technically been more damage. But, man, I hate remembering about his EX debuff buff. And just because, in this case, it's just so hard to balance enemies like that and his EX. Because if for some reason I need to spam Quick Hit and his EX buff wears off, I'm screwed. So I had to make adjustments and decide that, well, I need to spam this so bad. So Tidus just does so much damage by himself. As long as he has really good debuffs on the field, he can do a lot of damage. Like, honestly, he doesn't really need, like, a Kate Sith call. Most of his stuff have either enough Brave hits or he has enough Brave gain in between each hit. So, like, eject shot, it's great. Like, Tidus is probably one of my most enjoyable characters to play as. Even though I don't like Tidus as a character. He just annoys me. But, I mean, that's kind of what his character was. An annoying guy who grew up to, he fantasized about, like, trying to create the world in a better way and, you know, change how the world worked, and he fought for it, and he grew up and he did the best he could. But, I mean, still, I find him to be a whiny little bitch, but hey, it's fine. So, like I said, this did take me several tries. This is actually me re-recording it after I figured out how to do it properly, because in my unfortunate haste to actually get things done, I forgot to hit the record button, because I am a genius man right here. Ferris Call is just stupidly great. Like, you only have to use it once and keep it up, just because if you do, you don't have to worry about reapplying it, which is great, because they don't take turns. So, I'm getting to the point right here where I have to think really, really hard about how I want to do things, because I have to make sure that my EX buff doesn't fall off, I make sure that I have enough turns and things like that, and I have to make sure my damage doesn't fall off that much, because if the first few times I tried to do this, I tried to burst like right out the get-go, and he fell off right around 45%. since I waited till around, I think it was like 75%, 75% to actually start using his bursts and stuff like that, I was able to actually pace myself better, which is really, really awesome. I only have a 2 out of 5 uwu on for short swords, so I was really happy how far I got with Tidus. And as you can see, we are done with the left side. And we are preparing for the right side. I soloed both sides, so, and we're on the right side, which is Garnet. I haven't used her yet, so I was like, well, I don't want to use Terra, because I feel like using Terra with and I messed up. Oh man, I forgot I did that. Oh my goodness. So, I'm gonna leave that there, I think. But, that being said, Garnet, still a powerhouse. Oh my god, look at that Ferris capping on damage. That's crazy. But regardless, like, Garnet, the orb on this side is to have consecutive turns, which isn't too crazy. It's not that hard. But the thing is that Garnet really doesn't do that. Garnet just doesn't do that. So my immediate response to this is like, well, if she doesn't do that, who cares? The biggest thing here is that you have to realize that I brought Ferris once again as the call because of the part that after they hit thresholds, they have to take a turn, otherwise you can't delay them at all, and you can't break delay them or anything at all. So that being said, you just kind of you use the Ferris call and you just let it happen, and then you let their turns pass. But if you do enough damage, you don't have to worry about thresholds. Because that's Garnet. And so you start off with her burst attack, and I'm pretty sure right after this I almost immediately go into burst because it just does so much damage. Like, I was just sitting here going, okay, well, whatever, I don't really care. And because if you have under a certain amount of percent of brave, the enemies, that is, if they have under a certain amount of brave, they'll actually not use HP attacks. So as long as you keep their brave under a certain threshold, you don't have anything to worry about. Good news is Garnet hits every 4 turns, like off turn, so that's also their turns as well. So that honestly, even if you don't have Ferris up, that should be able to take care of it. And they missed. It's not about being good at the game sometimes, it's about being lucky. Or just having Garnet do really stupid damage. Like, Garnet does so much damage at this point in the game, even still. Like, Garnet will carry you till FR era, and then beyond. Her auras and her damage and everything she does is so powerful. If you don't have Garnet, you should think about investing in her if you have just her LD. If you have just her LD, you should probably invest in her. There's no reason not to. Like, it's been over a month since she's come out, and she's still a powerhouse. I didn't even really want to use her in any fights. I tried to avoid using her just because she's that strong. That being said, she just completely demolished this. She just did 9.5 million damage as a support, quote unquote. And that is it for the right side. We're going to go straight into the center. So, as you can tell, we only have one character per side, so that means it is time to duo the boss. This boss is really interesting because he actually has 2 different orbs that appear depending upon how he does it. So, every time he gets to, I think it's like 6% or something like that, he will actually heal himself back up to max, and a new orb will appear. The first side doesn't have an orb at all, so it's just whatever. You just do damage, and you just go with it. The first orb that pops up when his second life is that if he takes 5 turns, you instantly die. Simple as that. Every time he takes a turn, it takes down 1. The second one is that after the final orb says specifically that he has to take 10 turns before you can kill it. So even if you have it at 1%, and if you have 10 turns up on that orb, he still has to take 10 turns. There's nothing about, you can't go around it. It's just the way it goes. So in that case, I actually found out that it's honestly better to burst as soon as humanly possible and just go straight into it, because if you wait to burst, you could get to that threshold of you're at that 1% and you're waiting for 10 turns, and you're just like, alright, look at all these effects and all these attacks and stuff. They could have been more effective another place. I had run this previously once before, and I actually missed the HP threshold by like 6,000. I was really sad about it. But this time around, I did quite a bit better. I planned a little bit better, because I came into this fight basically blind, except for someone told me that it has 3 lives and the orb changes, and I was like, okay, cool. That's all I knew. I didn't know what the orbs did. I didn't know how its attacks were and its recast and stuff. It's whatever. Like I said, the first wave is that you just want to watch out for the recast gauge, and you just want to bring it down as fast as possible. Like, the best way to do it is that you don't let him take turns until you have to. You tank it out, or you just delay him to heck him back. I mean, the delay and heck him back is really good until you get to, like, the end part, which, I mean, once he goes into second phase, you actually can't delay him by break or by effect. So you have to think about characters who can get themselves extra turns. Like Core would be a good instant to use here. Since he has his he would have his LD and his HP attacks. He could cycle around a little bit like that. Whenever it comes to the third phase or his recast he uses, I think it's called Bio Breath or something like that. But after he uses it, like, everyone's health is down real low. Your team cannot heal while that aura is up, and I think you have to take 5 or 6 consecutive turns to make it go away. Like, it's not pleasant. So that's the good thing about having Tidus in this situation, is that Tidus can take so many turns. So as you saw, Tidus used his burst attack, and Garnet used her burst. And right here, I'm actually contemplating when I'm going to go into my burst phase, because, like I said, he can't take 5 turns, which is whatever, but having a burst effect on the last wave doesn't really do much. So at this point, yeah. So right here I use Hater's LD call because it gives increased brave damage up, and it has a little bit of an aura on it, and I just wanted Tidus to do as much damage as I could. I brought a Hater call and a Setter call specifically to help prevent damage here, because I didn't want to bring a tank, so I did the best thing you can do, and you just make it so they don't gain brave. Simple, easy, effective. Hater's call does it's a framed debuff 3 turns, and like I said, increases brave damage done. Setter's is a unframed debuff. It is 3 turns. Initially it is 2, but if you have his EX max, he'll have the Blackjack buff up, which says every time he inflicts a debuff, it has an extra turn added to it. So it's actually 3 turns unframed, which, I mean, is really good. Like, I'd actually just was talking with my friend earlier, and he was like, it's 3 turns. I was like, no, it says it's 2 on the call. I keep forgetting that they don't actually implement the actual information from the EX into the call, which is kind of unfortunate in planning, but I digress. So right here, we're on the second wave here, going through it, and Tidus is just burring his way to victory. Like, there's not much more you can say besides that. Tidus is just popping off here. Like, Tidus and Garnet is really good. Like, 6 million damage for something that's super unoptimized. It's great. Oh, man. But, as I mentioned, the biggest things you have to think about is that once you get in this wave, you don't want them to take turns if you can help it. That's why Terra's a big part, and she was considered the character for the right side. It's a green crystal, so that means Terra's like the prime choice there. You don't even need Terra's burst. You don't need her BT plus. You could just take a straight BT through, and you'd probably be fine. Like, I can't see it not working. Just because I believe Meltdown has a defense down, which means she has a defense down, which is great. And you're supposed to let them take turns to get rid of their so you can't delay them and stuff. But who cares if you just Chaos Wave them over and over again? It's just honestly how they made the fight, which is usually the opposite of what I believe the game usually expects you to do. They're like, oh, you do this, you should follow the mechanic. No, we have Terra. We don't do that around here. We just smash. I just did that with Garnet. I just literally did enough damage, it didn't matter. Oh, man. Yeah, if you haven't noticed, his turns aren't being pushed back at all by Tidus, by breaking or by his eject shot effect. So we are on the final phase. So at this point, I'm trying not to basically really do a lot. I want him to take as many turns as possible, and I have to keep an eye out for damage and stuff like that, because the more turns he takes, obviously, the more chance he has to hurt us. Sharp Horn, I believe, is, yes, that's an HP attack, and this is an AoE HP attack. Oh, look, he did both. AoE Brave attack, but an HP attack for a single. So, the good news is he didn't take damage for the first one, or the second one, which I was really glad I actually set that up, because that would have been really scary otherwise. So, I actually did really, really well at starting that up, because, I mean, if he didn't take turns in the first 2 sets, who cares? It was up, it was prepared, it was ready to go. So, I just try to do as much damage as I can while just letting him take as many turns as I can. There's no tank here. There's nothing tanky about us at all. Like, we are the absolute opposite of tanky. So I have to take it nice and slow here. Like, I can't like have Tidus take so many turns and Garnet doing Garnet things, doing 800,000 damage. So there's the Battle Breath I mentioned. You can't act if you break him, that's fine, but his Brave goes back up. Every time you break him, it doesn't actually completely break him, he unbreaks, so that's why Tidus just keeps breaking him over and over and over and over again, because that's what Tidus does. like he broke him like, what was that, 9 times already? And he just keeps going. So right here what I'm doing is I'm using Quick Hit until he unbreaks. Until that aura goes away, because I want to make sure that everybody's healed up to max when that happens. So I spam a bunch of quick hits and I go into a C65, and I was like, alright, well, I guess I'm just gonna have to wing it here. So, because I have to keep an eye on my uses. I don't have that many left, so I have to be able to do it. And as soon as that happens, immediately comes back. So I go into Holy Prayer for some reason. I honestly should have saved this, but I didn't. Because I'm pretty sure I immediately go, yep, I go right into LD, which also has a heal as well, which would have been, because Holy Prayer heals a lot, and her LD heals a lot. So it could have been one or the other, but I stacked them. It's whatever. It's actually not that big of a deal, because Morning Crush didn't do HP damage, so it's whatever. And I actually have a few things prepared. So as soon as the orb gets under 3 turns, I can actually use Setcher's Freeze Joker. And I use Dive Bomb just because, ooh, rainbows. Like, yeah, Sharp Horn, that's an HP attack. And that hurt a lot. It hurt a lot. Like, there's not much I can say past it. It hurt a lot. So I'm like, oh shit, what do? I can't let it go again. Like, I cannot let him go again until I can get some more health or something. And I was like, oh, I have Cater, so that means I can just do a triple slip. And I could save myself. But I believe right here, I just try to deal a bunch of damage just in case, because I'm not sure how well this next set's gonna go. Yeah. So right here, I just see 65, get the buff up so I don't have to worry about too much, and just keep it going as best as I can. And I found out that if you use Cater's Call, you can choose who it targets, which I didn't know you could do. That was super news to me, and I saw it was super interesting. But I was like, alright, whatever. Today I learned, and it might be useful information for you guys. But, that being said, we're not done yet, guys. We still got a few more minutes. 3%, a few more minutes. So, that being said, he still has to take 4 more turns. Tidus still has around half health left. I was like, shit, what do I do? Oh, I have Cater's Call up right now. That's not great. I should probably stop that. So I try an HP attack, and it jumps him up a little bit, but that's fine. And he's at 1. The enemy's at 1%, and he's still doing that. Mega Flash. That's kind of what I was worried about right there. Like, and it's just so nerve-wracking for this end part. It was really, really bothersome. Like, coming into this without like a tank or a real good way to mitigate damage, like it was rough. I was nerve-wracking. And here's the Freeze Joker, and everything, as they say, is that. There's nothing can kill me at this point. He can't do anything to stop me. It's all based upon his turns. He has 3 turns of Freeze Joker. He can't hurt me. We win. So we just let it happen. We let him use more strike, and then he's going to use the recast, which is Bio Breath. And here's where the scary part is, because as soon as he's going to use the recast, and then he's going to use it again. So I'm really glad I had 2 turns left on Freeze Joker, because he's going to use it, and then he's going to use it again. There's Bio Breath, it did no damage to me, and it's countdown for 1 turn. So if he didn't have 3 turns, it would have killed me. Like, it's as simple as that, it would kill me. And that is that. I'm so glad that you guys were here for me to help me out on my T8 shenanigans. This actually was a bit nerve-wracking on the left side, but it was a lot of fun. I enjoyed it. If you guys enjoy this, I'll see you again next time. Thanks.